What's going on? It's your man DJ Big Mike.
It's your boy Lloyd, a.k.a. the Angry Artist.
It's your boy Al Gluckman, running for mayor. Gluckman's down with the bitches and hoes.
a.k.a. T-Rup. And this is Beyond the Tracks podcast, your podcaster's favorite podcast. Man.
What?
Today is going to be a fire show.
Oh, yes, definitely a fire show.
I know when we clicked over to T-Rup, I know the people seen.
I got a little clip.
Yeah,
I'm sweating already.
If you're watching the YouTube, you seen who's in the building.
Right, I know.
Pastor, community activist, entrepreneur, just all around great.
My friend.
I was getting to that, brother.
I said my friend first.
But that's your friend?
That's my friend.
I think she's our friend.
My friend.
All right, we should, okay.
Fight over me later.
Yeah. Without further ado, we have Pastor Heather Boone is in the building. Welcome.
Thank you for having me here.
For sure.
It's nice to be in a place where I can talk.
Oh, you can talk.
You know,
good,
it's
'cause
nice.
that's what we want.
It's
There you
nice
go.
to get invited to tables.
Oh, talk about it. Talk about it.
We coming in hot.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
go.
Like I said, it's nice to be invited to tables. You know,
let's talk about it.
Instead of served up on tables.
Should we get the sponsorship out of the way
absolutely.
first? That way we
Go
can
ahead
just go.
so we can get hot and heavy. Yeah, come on.
I'm gonna make this quick. You know, forgive me, sponsors, but we got to get into this one. As always, we have JC's Quality Construction. He does everything from the 2x4 to the key to the
Front door.
all the time. Mention Beyond the Tracks podcast. He will give you 15% off all material. Hit him up at 734-652-9715. Also hit up Ruth Neal. I'm done with you, T-Rup. At Six Blessings Cafe. She's all the way from Tennessee, but she's got that Monroe heart. Hit her up, and then
You know what we got? We got that cool, out cold, fire wearable art by Cheat Designs. Oh, that's me. Hit me up. CheatDesigns.com. Let's go.
I think if they mention Beyond the Tracks podcast, they should get something. What
10%.
you gonna do? 10%?
10%.
That's kind of cheap.
You come up with that on the fly?
Yes, I did.
Let's do 15%. You gotta at least
15?
match JC.
15.
Come on, dude. 15% is hard to do the math. Like we're all gonna get confused.
So just do 20.
Yeah. No, I
15 it is.
And then they'll have you giving your stuff away.
Let's make a deal.
No,
mention BTT. You get that stuff.
My name is not Monty.
If you mention BTT, he's just gonna jack the price up 50 more %. So he's winning. See how it works?
Run it all day.
And he's got that drip. So
He doing a custom shirt of me.
yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
What?
Sorry. I didn't know it was a secret.
I didn't even know about this off the podcast, so I'm.
you see what I mean? Like we're partners, and we don't get that.
What the?
We got
Are
a
you
group
serious?
chat, dude.
Wait. Are you serious? You don't get that? You don't get that?
Sometimes.
TJ, call him. Call him. Rome, call him. Let him know.
You know, I always get that first hand.
You got it before his dad. Remember?
Facts.
You said you got it before his dad that one time.
I don't think. No, I think I was number 2.
He was number 2.
I was number 2.
Step back, daddy. Come on, I'm number one. You know.
But
Oh, Lord.
First.
But I
Dig over his house.
think I might have the most cheat design drip though. That's what I'm losing a little bit of weight, so I gotta. Actually,
You're not coming in my closet.
Yes.
You're not coming in
Yes.
my closet. It's
Yes,
not
I am.
happening.
You knew him for 94 years, so
Right.
it doesn't even.
Ooh, he called you old.
Yeah, I'm old. I'm gonna take that.
You knew him
But
since the
look at me.
20s, dude.
And look at you. Look at me.
Ooh.
And look at you.
I look good, dude.
You do look good.
I look good.
Pastor Boone, let's get this cracking.
Yes, sir.
Because these guys, we gonna talk trash
Riff and Raff.
for like an hour, and then
Okay.
you're just gonna be sitting there, and you gonna be like, "What's wrong with
I was invited. I came and talked.
Yeah.
Listen,
like they had me
don't
on their
start.
podcast.
Y'all saw me with the tape.
I did that on purpose.
I will.
I was letting you. That was
Okay.
green. I did that on purpose.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I seen that
Yeah.
picture, and I was like, "That is just perfect." But you know what? The tape is off today.
Yeah.
Absolutely, the tape
Let's
is off.
go.
There's no
Yeah.
tape in
I'm
here.
gonna let you introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are if they don't already know, and if you don't know who Pastor Boone is, then you haven't been in Monroe in the last 10 years. So
Wrong
And then we'll
if you
ask-
don't know, you better ask somebody.
All
facts.
right.
And then
Yes.
we'll ask questions off of what you say.
All right,
'Cause I'm
perfect.
interested too. Yeah.
All right, perfect. So, came to Monroe 14 years ago to pastor a little small church off Elmira. Was there for 3 years, and then the Lord basically told me to start a ministry here in Monroe 11 years ago. The funny thing is, 15 years ago, I came to this exact building and took a job. And I worked one day. And I was like, and I was living in Dearborn. I was like, I'm not driving down there to Monroe, to the country. I don't think the Lord's calling me there. One day, a year later, I'm telling you, like Jonah getting spit out by the whale. A year later, I got sent here by the Methodist Church at the time. And after I was here 3 years, I fell in love with the people. I mean, I just saw the need, the ministry. So we started the church 11 years ago, thought we were just gonna have just a little church, found out the building we were buying had been a warming shelter. They're like, it's just a few people. First year, 91 people. And it's like, this is not a few people.
Yeah, that's more than a few people.
You
a lot
know?
of people.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a neighborhood. That's a neighborhood.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it is.
Well, listen, so we had the 91 people the first year, 100 and something the next year, and I'm like, I can't just put people out because it's warmer outside. They don't, you can't just put kids back out on the street. So that's how it kind of expanded, and every single thing we've done is just, we see the need and we're just meeting the need. So we went from the shelter to start doing a lunch program because we wanted to make sure it was getting warm out. Kids were going to have lunch because most kids in that area, the Orchard East community, and all the kids in Monroe basically get free lunch. So in the summertime, kids have no lunch. So we started a lunch program. People were coming to our shelter with nothing but the clothes on their back. So we started a clothes closet. Then we realized that families were struggling with daycare. We started a daycare, and then health issues. We started a medical clinic. So it's just been growing. And now we got the grocery store and all of that. But
It's like its own community. That
it
area
really
right
is.
there. It's
Yeah.
like a whole.
It is the village.
It's vibing. Yeah, yeah.
It is the village. It really is the village. And I live right there. So every day, all day, I'm right in the thick of stuff. And that east side is a different community, It really is. And it's separate. And people who are in Monroe who don't live on that side of town, I'm shocked that they have no idea about what's going on. I'm shocked how many people,
They
y'all
don't
think,
even drive over there.
well, that I was gonna say, y'all whole thing beyond the tracks. Like, it is amazing to me how many people will not cross the tracks.
They don't even know. They don't even know
No.
there's a school back there or
No,
nothing.
Nothing. I have people say all the time, I want to donate, I want to give, but it's not safe. I'm not sure if I can go down there. Oh my goodness.
I know.
Yeah. So
I
it's
hear
just
that a lot.
crazy to me. So living there, seeing the stuff, like if I sit on my back porch, I look at what used to be the old Mianos, I see nonsense all day long. And that was one of the reasons where I'm like, we have to do a grocery store because we're in the middle of COVID. The buses it was dollar ride, where the only way you could get around is if you called the day before. Okay. Who know they need groceries the day before? Right. Who know they gonna need baby formula the day before? I'm sorry, when people are in survival mode, they don't plan like that. Right. So I'm like, we gotta put a grocery store down here, not a high-priced liquor store. Somewhere where people can go and get fresh meat and fresh produce, where people can get baby formula, use their WIC, use their bridge card.
And they don't gotta get that bus. They don't gotta get
all of that. Yeah,
they can walk right to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what we did, and so we partnered with the ProMedica, sent us a grocery store consultant, because social determinants of health, it realizes that in poor communities, they push certain foods, high cholesterol stuff, high sodium stuff that's just gonna get the diabetes started. We talked about, all the malt liquors, the alcohol, the cigarettes. So we don't
keep them
sell.
drunk and keep them dying.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that's exactly what it is.
That's facts.
Drunk
Yeah.
and stupid. For real. That's
Drunk and stupid.
That's
why
facts.
is it legal?
And that seems like it's in every city.
It is, and it's
there's
in
always
the
that
urban.
poor- yeah.
It's that urban area,
Yeah.
and that's it. And that's one of the hard things about Monroe is it's a rural community, but it has this urban area, and everybody just kind of puts blinders on and drives by it and act like they don't see what's going on.
Yeah, I
and
think
they drive by it every day.
Right.
Yeah.
And what happens is, sadly, from the whole county, when people have issues going on, you just get pushed to that area. And it is hard for that community, but it's a loving place. The East Side
that's facts.
is welcoming, loving.
If
you know what I mean?
love them, they will love you back. They're
Absolutely.
not like you're just scared because somebody's got raggedy clothes on. Like I look like an 8th grader every day, so like,
And I love it.
I'm gonna look the way I look,
Right.
you know. But I'm still the same guy. Everybody, they're just out here trying to get it.
Exactly.
That's
I mean,
it.
I grew up Conard Ave, you know, so pretty much until I was 14, 15, we ended up moving out. And then, you know, the theory and the thought process that I have to get out of this neighborhood. I want to move to the north side or the west side or,
Yep.
you know, where it's better at, right? And then you do all that and you go like, this is weird. This is different. And we start looking for a house. I'm looking here. I'm looking there. I'm on East 4th Street.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pretty much right back where I started, and I love it, and I love my neighborhood, and yeah, like you guys said, people just don't know.
No, they
And
don't
it's,
know.
You know, and it's one of those things where I remember my mother-in-law, and I love her with all my heart, but we would go hitting the expressway, and as soon as she hit the tracks, she'd lock her door. And I just thought that was the funniest thing in the world. Right?
Why?
Exactly. So
If you don't ask for it, ain't nothing gonna happen to you.
Listen,
if you go out there and you start yelling and stuff, somebody's gonna come up and say something or do something. Maybe they're a little bit drunk and they will punch you, but like
probably
you
not.
can't just
Probably
go
not.
around
Probably
anywhere.
not.
Yeah,
Right, probably
you can't
not.
go around anywhere and start making a ruckus. You're gonna get
this is
attention.
the thing. Right now, people are down there making a ruckus, and it's no big deal. So that's my biggest frustration. Is there's a whole lot of yelling and ruckus, and people getting high, people getting drunk, and people just being out there, and nobody seems to care. You know,
That's
Where it's
yeah.
at, because of where it's at and who it's happening to.
that's it. Because you know,
That's
since
true.
I've been down here,
What about the lights?
Yeah.
That-
Look, I started bringing awareness to the homeless problem, and it was immediately, oh, she's lying. She's bringing those people in.
remember that.
She's
I
not from Monroe. Oh, she's stealing the money. Oh, she's just,
Exactly.
she's busting
Oh,
people
Pastor Boone,
in from Detroit.
You didn't know? You for 10 years at least, you've been rich. I mean, you're
you've
a
been-
millionaire. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
well, listen, please, somebody please tell me about that because I'm an unpaid pastor, so I don't take anything. I mean, you all know because you talked about a business. When you have a business, when you have something, you don't take anything from it. You keep putting back in for your
Yeah.
people. And so
And then you make a medical spot. You make a grocery
that's
store.
what I'm saying.
That's what you
so,
do. Yeah.
you know, I lay awake at night trying to figure out, Lord, how we going to make it? How we going to, you know, things going to happen? Like, you know, the good thing about me is I don't look like what I've been through. And so, you know, black people, we can be broke, but we're not going to look broke. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
We got $2 in our purse, but we're not going to act like we got $2. We're going to walk and keep our head up high.
Right.
And so people have always said that, you know, when we were doing the Miracle on 2nd Street campaign, when we were raising, you know, first day, Thursday night, I'm like, you know, we're going to do this. I'm going to ask 1,000 of my Facebook friends if they'll give $300. Thursday night, Friday morning, because I'm living in a homeless shelter. Because me and my husband, we lived in Dearborn, but then I had bought a condo when I was pastoring the little church on Elmira. We had got a condo on Telegraph, and we ended up selling the condo, and I moved into the shelter.
I remember that.
And my husband left our house. We rented it out to some friends, and we end up, you know, both moving in the shelter. And so the next morning, Friday morning, I'm in my pajamas waiting to my turn to take a shower because, you know, I'm no better than any of the homeless people. So I got to wait my turn. A lady walks in and she's like, Pastor Boone, I want to give you something. I'm like, cool. Open an envelope. It's $300. I'm like, this is amazing. You saw my post on Facebook. She said, no, honey, I don't have the social media. I don't do any of that. The Lord woke me up and told me to bring you $300.
I literally got you.
And well, this is
kinda
what I'm
did
telling
too,
you.
yeah.
Because at the time when we were doing the Miracle on 2nd Street, like what people don't understand, I don't do any like of the financial, any of the books. Like people always think, open up a book. Oh, you can I can open them up, but you ain't gonna see nothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we're a church. What church do you go to and you don't know what's happening at St. Mary's. You don't know what's happening at St. Mike's if you're not a member there.
Facts.
And we started a nonprofit and it's members of our church. And so people are like, well, who's on your board? The people who come to church, the people who are invested, the people who care, the people who have
who
the
are
same
there.
heart. Well, the people who have the same heart.
Yeah,
And that's just it.
yeah.
You know, because if not, you get these agencies where you got to have a birth certificate and proof of ID proof of income and ID and 5 other things to get a Christmas toy or to get a food box or to get a pack of diapers. And it's like, the one thing we wanted to do is be very low barrier. And we wanted to just meet people where they were and help people right exactly there.
The basics.
The basics, you know, without all the red tape. And so that's been like the hardest thing. So we have never been like big on like grants and stuff. We did finally a few years back get a grant for the homeless shelter, $203,000. Now, mind you, we have a 75-bed shelter. We are housing anywhere between 300 and 500 people a year because it's been a big stretch with COVID. We have to have a male monitor, female monitor, 24/7. Administrator, do work, all this stuff. You know what I mean? We got with the shelter, I want to say we have 10 staff.
Okay.
$203,000.
Yeah.
Got to feed the people, keep the building
no
going,
money.
the lights, the gas, and people are like, "Oh, you're stealing the money." Okay, and this is the way the grant works. We have to pay, and it only pays staff. Only. We have to pay our staff and get reimbursed. So we have to pay for a month, and then a month and a half later, we'll get that reimbursement. And so when people are like, "Oh, you getting all this money," where am I getting it from? Right. Of course, the wonderful thing is that we'll have little old ladies come bring $20. Somebody will bring $100, you know, and that's it. But we're doing food boxes, we're keeping the lights, we're doing so much.
Yeah.
It's like we're stretched very thin, but people are like, "Oh, you got all this money." No, I have a husband who, thank God, when we met, he said he knew I was his wife.
All right.
Okay.
He said, and that's it. And let me tell you this, Lloyd, I remind him of that every day when he tell me he tired or something. He'd be like, I'm sick of Monroe. I'd be like, "No, you said God told you I was my wife, and this is where God called, I was your wife. Absolutely. This is where God called me. Yep. So I'm sorry, sir. Quit being, crabby. This is where God has planted us at." So, yeah.
They 10 toes.
That's why I want me a 10 toes.
I got you. Matter of fact,
shameless plug.
Yes, it is.
Very shameless. But I got you in the car.
But
he brought one. I forgot to bring it up.
But God sent me here, and I know that, and can't nobody tell me any different. I know who I serve. I know who I work for. That's what I know, and I'm the pay. Kind of, it sucks because I'm not getting the pay, but the retirement plan. That's what I'm working towards.
I've heard
you know what I
that
mean?
before, and I
that's
love
it.
it.
Stop with the
That's
chills
it.
already. Would you please?
And listen, let me tell you something. So I have a bonus son. We have 3 children. I have a bonus son, and he lives here in Monroe. My husband had he was married. We were both married before we got married the second time. But he got in an accident the other day, and not a scratch on him. So my children are safe. My children aren't, out doing deviant things. They aren't in trouble. God has blessed me in so many ways that it's greater than money.
Say that one more time.
So, and that's it. And that's
Say
what
that
people
one more
don't understand.
time, so the
God
people in
has
the back can hear.
blessed me in so many ways. It's better than money. I got my health. I got my family. My mom is still alive. I got so much going on, and it's like these people, they're crazy. So.
Well, people are going to see you doing something and actually making like a difference and becoming somebody, and they're just going to hate you because of you're getting the spotlight. Right. They don't even know what's going on over there.
But I would say this is a woman who never wants to spotlight. Yeah,
You don't want
that's what everybody. The whole town talks about Pastor Boone.
Well, that's because they don't know Pastor Boone.
They don't know.
Yeah,
and they want to know. They think they know. They
hear that name so many times. They're like,
they want. Well, they want to know.
You know what I'm saying.
They want to know that they want to paint that negative picture, and it's something
absolutely.
that I said before when I think Kim was on the show. People are going to hate, and they pick out things that they want to hate versus love. Right. And one thing that, and I'll tell you this story. I think I told you this before, Pastor Boone. When you were first coming in, I think you had just got the homeless shelter. A lot of people was talking. They was like, and I travel in a lot of different circles, and they was like, well, I think she's racist, and I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, it's like all she focuses on is black this and black that and black this. I said, she's a black woman.
She's proud.
So I'm just like, what do you like? I'm trying to get everything out.
Right.
And finally at the end, I was like, yeah, you should go and actually meet Pastor Boone. I've been here and I've done this. And I was like, okay, well, if you think she's racist, are you aware who her husband is? And that's all I said.
Yeah,
I didn't say he was white, black, Puerto Rican,
Yeah.
whatever. I said, do you know who her husband is? Well, no. I said, then you don't know Pastor Boone.
Right.
Because you have to, if you know Pastor Boone, you know her husband.
Right.
And I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's like.
and I'm gonna tell you this. People always say that they're like, "Oh, it's just the black people." And if you ever come to our shelter, you will see our shelter is 70-80% white,
Listen,
maybe 20%
I've
black.
lived in Monroe my whole life, and I've been around. Like, you didn't bring no home. Like, I know these guys.
Right.
Like, I actually have friendships with most of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know them. Like, see them in stores and stuff like that. None of them are bad people.
Right.
They just out of luck.
Nobody says I want to be homeless when I grow up. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just we make bad choices,
choices.
and it could be any of us.
Facts.
You know,
Any moment.
and that's it. You know, when I talk to some of the girls, some of the guys, it's like, dang, I did that before, and but thanks being to God, I didn't end up in this situation, and so. I don't understand.
People slip too. Like,
Oh my goodness. Well, and that's the biggest thing right now where I'm dealing with the substance abuse and the mental illness, because there's a lot going on. And over there, unfortunately, I can feel a spirit of heaviness, almost a spirit of hopelessness. I was on the school board and I was shocked at the dropout rate just in the Orchard East community. I mean, I was shocked that, there's a 40% dropout rate in that area. Like, people just drop out. Like, we get a lot of people who come in the shelter and can't read and write. And that was why I always was at the Learning Bank helping them and pushing them to stay open, because I'm like, Lord, we got to do something. Yeah. But the hard thing is for young people on the Orchard East, and this is not just Black children, it's 40% dropout rate just in that community. Yeah. But kids don't see people they know who look like them who are successful, because like you said, Mike, when you do make it a little bit, you get out the hood. Yeah. So nobody knows, okay, if I go to school, if I'm successful, most of the people, they move away from Monroe. Young people, they go somewhere else. Lloyd, I've been seeing you fix up that house. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny? That's where I grew up at.
In Detroit?
I grew up a mile from my house.
Oh, okay.
I was between here and Monroe my whole life.
That's why we shun him sometimes, because
I-
he don't
I got that
claim his
shine.
real.
I got
he don't
that
claim his
shine.
real home.
I got that swag. But I went home, and like you're doing with the homeless shelters, Carter Street, where I grew up at, right on Linwood, once a month, there's this church that they go to work. There's a line of cars down the street.
Giving out food and doing stuff.
Water.
And so that's what people say to me all the time. Oh, you're not from here. You're not from, and they say that like that's a bad thing. Like, why are you mad because somebody
thanks for
who's
coming
not,
and helping us. Thank you. Right. Thank you for giving people places to stay.
Right.
Thank you.
You ain't from here. You can't help.
Thanks for.
And that's the thing too. It's
You're
like,
not here.
Man, I
fuck
hear
you
that
for
a
not
lot.
being from Monroe, but thanks for helping.
Right. I mean, that's their biggest thing. You're not from Monroe. But it's that I'm shining a light on the problems, because people have this narrative in their mind of what Monroe is. And if I bring up that there's homeless people, there's drug addicts, there's mental illness, you're changing this quaint town, you know what I mean? And what we're doing with the battlefield and stuff. No,
I'm just pointing out the obvious.
Right. Well, I'm just trying to bring awareness so we can do something about it.
help.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
when you go to other places, other cities, if you take a trip to Toledo, to Ann Arbor, to Detroit, you'll see there are churches, there are organizations that are doing stuff.
Yes.
And that's, I think, why I'm so frustrated about the whole mental health thing, is because for people who are severely mentally ill in Monroe or who are in crisis, there's really one option. You go through CMH and you go to the hospital. Nothing else. If you work in any other county, you will realize that their CMH, they contract out to other providers, and you have choices. You have all kind of choices. So you don't just have this waiting list. But, community mental health is just poor people, so people on Medicaid who are severely mentally ill. And so people are like, we can't just care about your people. This is my people. Poor, severely mentally ill people. What do you mean you can't care about my people?
White, black, brown, they're all the same. We can all get mental problems.
Exactly. And that's it. And they're the gatekeepers for all mental health dollars and substance abuse dollars. So think about this. Most of the people who come in our shelter, especially the men, they're getting sent there. They're leaving the jail. They're probation officers are sending them. You know what I mean? They may have gotten out of rehab and stuff like that. So it is so frustrating trying to get people help. It is so frustrating trying to get people in rehab and systems. It's frustrating. Somebody wants to go to treatment. And when somebody wants to get treatment from an opioid, they have to get treatment that day, because otherwise they're going to withdraw and they're going to be sick and they're going to have to go use. And it's a vicious cycle. And I never knew any of this. Right. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you see people hurting, once you see people suicidal, I mean, you cannot unsee and you cannot care. And that's what frustrates me, is they're like, oh, there's no mental health crisis. I'm like, there's a mental health crisis across the country. But here, we don't have it. Huh?
And we need it desperately around here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We talk about it every single time we talk. And mental health, especially like I see it in men. Men don't like to talk about it. They don't want to tell you. I ain't gonna tell no Pastor Boone my problems. You don't need to know about them, but you want to, and like nobody wants to go to therapy. I've been going to therapy for 5 years. That is the nicest. What? I'm talking to a brick wall of like this person. I don't know them. Well, now I know them as who they are, but I don't know them when I go to them. I stand up. Now I'm on video chat, but I stand up in the. I'll be throwing my arms and saying all the stuff that I really feel, and I leave out of there, and I'm like, good. I probably scared her to death, but that's what she's doing.
But you got to vent. You got to say what's going on.
Yeah, I want to throw this fish tank through the wall.
Yeah. So you didn't go home and kick your door in and beat your kids and
or get all mad.
Yeah.
Listen, there are these shirts that say, I have a therapist and God. Ooh. There is nothing wrong, because like people are like, oh, well, you don't have enough faith because you're asking for help with mental health. And I'm like, no, I do have enough faith because God heals in many ways. I'm not going to tell a person with cancer, you're healed, go home. I'm going to say, you're healed, now go get the chemo that's going to heal you, and we'll throw a party when you're done. In the same way, mental health, is nothing wrong with somebody taking a pill. It's nothing wrong with somebody going to therapist. You know what I mean? Talking with somebody. It's nothing wrong with that. Right. And we got to quit pushing that narrative that there is something wrong with it. I think the biggest problem is there's that stigma of addiction and mental health, so nobody wants to talk about it. So
they go hand in hand.
They do, absolutely. You're self-medicating.
I crashed into a van, and I have the same issues that some of these drug addicts are having. Yeah. So it's not. It could be anything. Trauma. Period. Trauma.
Well, nobody deals with trauma. Like, we're all traumatized. We've all had stuff in our life. Like, when I talk to these people, a lot of the people in our shelter are people who came through foster care, a lot of CPS involvement, and just a lot of CPS involvement in the community. People are just looking for some hope, something to believe in. And unfortunately, that drug, a drug, whatever drug it is.
It's cheaper than your copays.
Oh, absolutely.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's accessible.
It's readily available.
And all they want to do is put their mind in a different mind space.
Absolutely.
That's all they're wanting to do.
Absolutely.
And you can do that different ways, but the easiest way is a $20
whatever.
It's gonna send me right to Mars, and I'm not gonna be here thinking about it.
Right, which is why, as a pastor, people are like all upset about the marijuana. I'm like, listen, I haven't heard nobody overdosing from the dispensary.
Right.
So I'm not gonna say nothing. Now, if maybe they, chilling, a little too much,
Yeah.
Right.
But all right. I
that
would
might
rather,
help with the diabetes too.
Exactly. I would rather have that than somebody, because this stuff that's on the street, you know what I mean? They're lacing cocaine, they're lacing all kind of stuff with this fentanyl.
It's scary.
It's very scary. And I have done so many funerals. It is, I think that's the hardest part, is the funerals and the look in these parents' face.
Yes, absolutely.
Because as a parent, you can't imagine. You know what I mean? You cannot. Nope. And no parent I have ever did a funeral for, they don't heal. They don't get over it. You know what I mean?
Think
Years
about it every
later,
day.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Every day they're reliving it and they feel it. They'll have moments of joy and they'll go right back to it. And I think that is the hardest thing to do, is when parents, because it's unnatural. You don't think that a parent is going to bury their child. And I have seen so many parents, white and black, burying their children. And with the addiction, they're so ashamed. And it's like, this is a sickness.
Yeah, they don't want to tell a story or nothing.
No. And
they just want to keep it under wraps.
Absolutely.
Like, she died. That's
Yeah.
okay. You know, just
Yeah. Well, that's why, like, I love George Barrett. You know what I mean? Back years ago, and I had took him up the Life Challenge and got him connected with them so we could send people there, is because he talked about it. Because everybody, you know, well, I ain't got the autopsy. You know what happened. You know what I mean? But it's that shame, and there is no shame. Nobody says, I want to be an addict when I grow up. Like, the doctors literally started this crisis. People who,
Facts.
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? People who had medical issues and stuff.
back problems
started with
is the
this.
most with the opioids.
Oh, no.
Back-
Tooth.
Oh,
tooth
tooth,
problems
tooth,
too.
yeah.
Because the dentist will, you know, I just got my wisdom teeth out. I was going through it.
Yeah.
And they will, hey, here you go.
We'll give you
need
as
a few
many as
more?
you want. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a lot of problems that leads to that. And this is why there's all this opioid settlement money going on, because the pharmaceutical companies knew. They knew how addictive this stuff was,
they did. Oh,
for
but
sure,
they
for
pushed
sure.
it anyway. And that's what's so crazy. And so it's so funny to me, because as it's trickling into town, I'm like, oh, now y'all want to admit we have drug problems now that y'all get millions of dollars? But okay.
Well, I would say, you know, Monroe was, I want to say, number one
Heroin
in
capital of
heroin
Michigan.
per capita of people.
Oh yeah.
And
It's
and
a
I'm
hub city.
And I'm like, that's crazy to me.
The DEA came down.
You'd be surprised at how much meth is in this city.
Oh,
too.
no, it's meth. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
gotta think about it, though. We're
It's
between
unbelievable. Toledo and
Toledo and
Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah. We're in the middle of
Crossfire.
75.
So
dude. It's
we have
coming here.
all of the urban problems,
Yep.
but then when you go after stuff, we're rural. So people are like, Monroe, you know, when you try to tell people, if I,
People still ask me if it's black people in Monroe.
that's,
Me too.
listen.
Me too.
because nobody goes to the east side.
Exactly. That's it. Well, we're only 3% black, so that's the hard part, which is why I'm really struggling, because there's a huge racial disparity that black people don't get mental health treatment. Because first of all, just like you said, men don't talk about it. Black people don't talk about it. Like, you had that crazy uncle, you
Yeah,
push
you
him.
too tough. You
go-
too tough for
you know,
that shit.
you push that crazy uncle in the basement or somewhere.
You know,
but
Johnny
nobody,
acting up. Johnny acting up.
Yeah.
but nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about mental illness, so it's a big thing. We don't talk about the addiction. You know, we just know somebody a crackhead, and we you know what I mean. We just know it, and we just, you know, hey, what's up? But we don't think about, let me try to get you some help. What can we do about it? And so with community mental health being that gatekeeper, they're 3, sometimes 4 buses away from the east side. So if I do want help, I gotta get on the bus and I gotta make phone calls, and then y'all don't answer the phone. And you know, the one thing I know is people in survival mode don't keep phone numbers.
No.
Don't keep phones.
Right, no.
You know what I mean? And you can't call
That's
CMH.
the first thing to go.
Right, you can't really call CMH off Facebook Messenger, because at first I'm like, why do all these people call me Messenger?
Because it's easy.
Right, because my phone's not working.
Wi-Fi.
Exactly.
That
That's it.
Wi-Fi
And
is some shit.
people don't get that. And so they're wanting to call people and do therapy over the phone and Zoom over the phone. I'm like, these people don't have internet. So that's where all the fight started. I'm like, can we just get a case manager down there? No.
Jesus.
And it's so sad, because then, and nothing against the college, they set up a whole office at the college and staffed it with supervisors. Now I'm like, the college is 0.7 miles, same street.
That's CMH.
Same street as CMH. We 5.5 miles away, 3 to 4 buses, but you're gonna put a whole supervisor over there? And then what they found out, the supervisors found out that the people weren't qualified to be CMH clients. Because remember I said you gotta be poor and on Medicaid and severely mentally ill. They weren't any of that.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
You got to be severely mentally ill. Like you got like.
well, so there is like, for mental illness, for like mild to moderate, there are a lot of places you can go. You can go to Family Medical. You can go to ProMedica. There's therapists and stuff like that.
Okay.
But when you're talking about people who are like schizophrenic, severely
Yeah.
bipolar,
Yep.
people who are suicidal and things like that, people who are in psychosis, that's CMH.
Yep.
And sadly,
Okay.
that's what we see at the shelter. So it's like we're running a psych ward. And I mean, these people are broken. They're at rock bottom, and I understand. And so this is the funny thing. We were talking about me only drinking water. So, Jesus, what was his first miracle? Water and the wine. So, every now and again, I would have a sip of wine. And what I noticed, though, is I'm like, man, I don't want to have a glass of wine and have to go to sleep, because I was so wound up. And you seeing all of this stuff, and you're like, man, you can see how people slip into addiction. You can see how people, because of the helplessness and the hopelessness, you know, and that was the frustrating thing for me, because I'm like, no, but that's not who I want to be. I'm trying to rescue people from this. So I definitely, I'm not going to go down that road. So I'm like, you know what? No, I'm good. Because, you know, during the pandemic, you sit at home, you're like, oh, I'm going to give me a glass of wine. No. And you know, the other thing is, the trains are a little bit depressing to me, especially when they stopped. And we get a train stopped all the time, and literally my house is right at the trains, and the train just be stopped, and you can't get on the train, get across the train sometimes 30 minutes, 45 minutes.
Illegal,
Yep.
right?
That's always been an issue.
That's illegal.
Well, they
It
do it
is.
all the
It's
time.
Actually
is.
illegal.
Yeah.
But for people to do that, and I've been in times where it's 2 trains and you're stuck. You know, we had a young lady, unfortunately, overdose in our shelter one time. And this is where we as a shelter had to learn. And think about how triggering that is. Somebody in the shelter passed away. Their children are there with them in the room. And, you know, and we have been trained on Narcan, first aid, CPR. We do all of this at the shelter. I mean, that's what we do in the community, trying to pass and share information. And a train was on the tracks when EMS was
get
coming.
there.
So I don't know if it would have saved her. I don't know if it would have made a difference, but it's still something to think about. And so I just think that, I don't know, sometimes it just feels like people there are almost like set up to fail, and it gets frustrating, you know?
Yeah.
I'm going to one-up you. Think about how many entrances there are now to the east side. Mike, when we were growing up, how many ways did we have to get back and forth with them tracks? 4 or 5?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's 2.
Yeah.
There's 2 now.
They've shut down quite a few.
There's 2.
And they talked about shutting down another one.
So they can funnel people through here, watch them, and see who. No, you ain't. Get back on your side of the road. Back over there. Get back over there. You don't belong over here. Get back over there. That's what they want to do.
Yeah.
I always feel like, too, man, just growing up in that area, I always feel like they would, and when I say they, I mean the city, the whoever's, right? Because I don't want to get caught up in the days.
Right, please don't. Because listen, I take enough heat for all of us, so.
Right. But it seemed like they would give us a little something and then kind of be like, you should be happy you got that, right? And I see the
That part.
same
part.
exact thing happening now. You're doing all this amazing, not
On a
wonderful,
shoestring.
amazing.
Thank you. On a shoestring budget.
Yes, on a probably 1% of what you could be getting.
Right.
But you're doing all of this, and you're asking for one thing, in my opinion.
Right.
You've
That's
only
all we
asked
asked
for
for.
one thing.
And well, this is the
and
thing.
they go, well, you got this, and you got that, and you got this. You should be happy with that. Why aren't you happy with that? Why
because
do you
I
want
should know
more?
my place. Because I should know my place, and that's what I've been
Yes.
told.
Yes.
But you know, when I started asking these questions about CMH and bringing up stuff, then it got turned around, and it's like, oh, when I said we're going to close the shelter, because it wasn't like I was trying to close the shelter, but I'm like, we have to do something because we've been begging for 8 years. I mean, you wouldn't believe the emails, the stuff I have. I have it, so much stuff, and I've taken it to the state. So right now, you know, I'm part of an investigation with the state. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But we've been begging for help, and they would send somebody, the person would be there a month or 2, and then, you know, just come by once a week to visit. Well, what mental health problems you having? And it's like, we can't schedule somebody's crisis. And when somebody is down there screaming,
Hey, try to
cussing,
freak out on Tuesday.
right, at 4 o'clock.
At 5 o'clock. Hurry up.
Oh yeah,
When-
she's only gonna be here for an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
so
That's it.
let
But
it
when
all
somebody
out.
is doing that, the police, you call the police, and it's, well, if they're not a danger to themselves or anybody else, we can't help you. I mean, you guys both know T Johnson. We see all the time. And my biggest worry is that one day, because we get new cops who don't know how he is, he gets to swinging that stick, he gets to having a machete some days, you know, that something bad is going to happen. And I'm like, we got to do better as a community. He gets a shot every month. Help this man.
Yeah.
Help him.
Help that man.
It's no reason that he should go any time without his shot, because he's tormented. He's tormented because when he's on his meds, he's amazing. So smart, so talented. And so that's just it. I just want people to have a quality of life. And so it's frustrating to me that they're like, oh, you can't make people get help. And I said, I'm not trying to make people. These are people who are begging for help.
Begging.
Begging.
Facts.
We will get
Begging.
people, Pastor Boone, I can't do this no more. I'm struggling with this. I'm ready to kill myself. I'm this and that. We try to get them appointment. It takes 2-3 months to get an appointment. By that time, that person has deteriorated. We had a guy who came to our shelter, had gotten out of jail. He was begging for help. Now, we had a nurse on the board of CMH. So she knew the way you're supposed to get appointments and stuff. She couldn't get appointments for these people. So after all of that, and she couldn't get through, this man went to self-medicate, because that's what you do when you're hurting and you can't get an appointment. Well, we had to put him out the shelter because you can't just bring heroin, meth in the shelter. We just can't. He went to Motel 7, committed suicide. And this is the other thing that CMH never talks about. They bring us people all the time.
Yeah.
Like, they'll like, oh, we don't have your client. 70% of our people are CMH clients. You drop people off to us all day long. I have emails of us fighting with them. Like, we cannot take that person. They're not stable enough. Oh, well, they started their medication today. Okay, but that doesn't make them stable.
It takes like 4 days for it to.
But we got people
can.
making we got people making minimum wage, and you want me to make them have to deal with this. You know, we were open through COVID. We didn't get no days off. Homeless shelter is 365 days a year. Other people at Christmas at home, I got staff sitting there, you know, working. Easter, Mother's Day, you know, every holiday we are open. COVID, when it was locked down, when they shut everything down, we had to tell the people, y'all got to stay in the building. So now we all trapped in the building with, you know, 40, 50 people, and everybody's going crazy.
Yes.
So people, you know, people don't get it, and it's very frustrating. And you talking about the giving the little tokens, that's been my problem with the other agency at the community center. Not that I, you know, want to beef with agencies, because that's what I've been, it's been said, you want to just beef with an agency and attack an agency. No, but y'all built a food pantry down there. Now we have a food pantry, right? Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 2. We scraping up stuff, ragtags, 50 ragtag freezers, half working, you know, our electric bill high. They go in there.
I've seen it.
They go in and they build a food pantry, walk-in coolers and stuff. It's open on Mondays from 1 to 3.
You want to hear something really ironic?
Because the poorest people, now that's the poorest area in all of Monroe County. So everybody gets all this funding based on this being the poorest area, and they use all the demographics and the numbers. But you got a food pantry 1 to 3, because poor people are only hungry on Mondays, 1 to 3.
Guess what? That other agency you're speaking about, my great aunt, Virginia Crenshaw, started that agency for us, and it's not for us anymore.
Now, the other
That's a
thing
fact.
is, we were going to start a dental clinic. We were working real hard to try to get a dental clinic, because tooth pain is a beast.
That's serious, dude.
And Monroe, unfortunately, we got a lot of tooth issues in Monroe. A lot of it's the drugs, you know what I mean? And people not taking care of their teeth. So somebody's always got an infection. Every week somebody's coming to our clinic needing antibiotics for their infections and stuff. But we had a lady who's a retired hygienist. She was going to clean teeth 4 days a week. We had a guy who was a retired dentist. He was going to come in and work 2 days a week. So we had met with UAD. We had got equipment donated, used equipment. We were just trying to raise the funds for the stuff. Well, it was announced they were going to put a health hub and a dental clinic. So I'm like, well, you know what? All people keep saying, because every time we would go to local foundations, all the local foundations, to tell them about what we were doing, they said, oh, you're just duplicating their services. That was always what they said. We asked for a peer recovery person, because I'm like, there's addiction. Oh, you're duplicating services. I said, there are no peer support people for substance abuse on the east side. Oh, it's a duplication of services. Okay. So we have never been able to get funding for stuff like that. So I said, okay, well, if they're going to do a dental clinic, let's just let them do that. This is an amazing thing. I don't care who does it.
Right.
What they have is open 1 day a week. They do a screening for 3 people once a week. And they screen them to tell them they're going to make an appointment out at Family Medical, either in Carlton or Temperance.
That's facts.
And guess what? Brand new equipment, all kind of money for it. They got a huge grant for mental health. They did a conference. Wasn't nobody from Monroe there, East Side. None of that. They got a thing, you know, you go up to the wall and you put a little QR code.
The QR code, yeah.
And that's their mental health. And I'm like, I'm watching people suicidal. I'm watching people hurting. And this is your response.
Do you think it's where we're at?
Absolutely.
And
Listen, this is it. I was Michiganian of the year because around Michigan, they're like, oh my gosh, she's doing great stuff. 2 years ago, I was a hometown hero from Lansing, state of Michigan, because we opened up a grocery store. Because this is it, WIC. This is why most liquor stores don't accept WIC. You lose money. You have to have a mandatory minimum of all this baby food, all of this formula. You have to have all of this stuff on the shelf because you have to have all these different juices and stuff. And when that stuff expires at the grocery store, it just expires. You can't make no money off of it. All that baby formula, when there was the recall, we had to throw it away. We didn't get no money back. Nobody said, hey, y'all had $1,200 worth of baby formula, let us reimburse you. No, we got nothing. And so you lose money because a dozen of eggs, $4, but WIC only will pay $3.
Right.
So we just have to eat that cost. Same thing with a gallon of milk, but it's worth it because this is the poorest children in the community. I want to make sure they have the best start. I want to make sure there's baby formula, there's baby food, there's stuff like that.
So they're healthy.
Exactly.
Okay, I got something. So all the stuff that you're telling me that you're going through and all these issues, I've heard a lot about you from Kim, from too many people.
Okay.
And all I've heard was good stuff. I met you when we were giving out food. I came over
you
there
came and helped. Yep.
You are better than I thought. Like you are super. Your drive is outrageous, and your positivity. Like I feel like you could help. Like you probably helped people without knowing.
Now wait. Now you said positivity because there is an ugly side to me too. There is a mean side because I'm like a mama bear.
That part.
About to
And
fight
you care
for her
about
cook.
these people because you got to live with them.
Exactly,
You're living with them.
Exactly. And not that bear today. I'm like, where was there a bear at in Monroe last week? But I'm like a mama bear. And so these people matter to me. And so when I go down to City Hall, when I go to Community Mental Health, when I go to these places,
You get
I'm
arrested.
Like,
I
do.
seen it.
Yeah, because I'm a run like
I thought it was fake.
Because listen,
did too.
no, it was not.
And you were
Because
laughing and giggling. I'm like,
because I am. Because you know what? Listen, I don't have a record. I've not done anything wrong. People can lie on me and say whatever. My mom and my stepdad were Detroit police officers, retired Detroit police officers. I am not a person who has a bunch of speeding tickets. I mean, I have none of that. And I got bail money. So I'm not worried about it. But I am going to not keep letting y'all get to this table. They invited all these people. How are you going, because after we said we're going to close, they created a group to figure out the problems. They didn't invite me to the table, of course.
Right. The one who's doing the most.
Right, didn't invite people who could speak up, but they invited people who are all getting kind of funding from them. You know what I mean? And then other token people, and I said it, token people, amen.
We are uncensored here. Sister.
Exactly,
Uncensored.
to the table.
I said
and
bitches
then,
and hoes. So.
Okay. And so they invited the people to the table, the person to the table, and have no clue. Well, I live in, I'm from Maryland. No, you don't know. Yeah, I'm saying it, you know. But you are not here. You're not part of it. Don't tell me this is a good person. Don't tell me that's a good person. I get that, but what they're doing is not good. You know what I mean? And it's hurting people. Take the time to see what's going on. And I just was so frustrated because they met for 6 months. They met for 6 months. So finally, after 6 months, and I'm hearing this person, she's told the Detroit News, she's told the executive director, has told the Detroit News, the Monroe News several times. She's told her board, oh, we got this group together and we're meeting to solve the problem. I go in there and they're creating a piece of paper. The first week I go in there, they're creating a piece of paper. They go over this piece of paper, read this whole piece of paper. The whole meeting is reading this piece of paper to talk about. They don't even have the word mental health on the piece of paper.
Shut the fuck up.
They're going to talk about and identify all the gaps in Monroe. So we're talking about food and this and that. I said, listen, there is people to do that already. There are IAC, there is the Homeless Network. You know what I mean? There's agencies doing this. No. We're here for one reason, for mental health. That's what you're saying. So can we at least put that on that paper? So that was the first week. And they said, well, we're not going to have any more people. And it was because I showed up, right? So I get there to the next meeting, and I get there late. And I walk in, and they're still on that same piece of paper. And they're talking about who they're going to invite to the meeting, adding more people. 6 months in. I said, when can we talk about the problems?
We have meetings to discuss when we're going to have meetings.
To discuss
And
more
this is what I'm
meetings
saying.
of more
Because
problems.
there's no urgency. And when I'm watching people dying and suffering, where's the urgency? And I literally knew that morning. I knew it. And I had also FOIA'd a bunch of information. That's the other thing. That's the other thing that I think has really changed my perspective on people, because Freedom of Information Act, any public agency, you can get
Yes, you can.
anything they got.
Right.
Yes.
And I asked for stuff pertaining to my name and Oaks, and to read this stuff, to see this stuff, what people have said, the lies that people have told.
And you're still out here with a smile on
I
your
was
face.
saying, and we going to put it out there.
Yeah, no,
You
but
know what I'm
it
saying?
was
Put it out there.
frustrating.
Yeah, it's,
but it was frustrating. It's frustrating. We're having meetings, and this is before any of this started. The police, the city police, sending emails. Oh, do you need us to be there? That's the township. Why does the city police need to be there? And nothing has started. So this was before any of this happened. So because people from that side of town are coming over there, y'all need to be here. We get to the board meeting to talk. 4 sheriffs, because we're coming to a board meeting to talk about begging for mental health issues. So when I get to the table,
For
I'm like,
intimidation, they bring the police.
listen, well, no, because not only that, they had got the fire marshal to come in and move the room around so that it could only be so many chairs. Then they paid the staff to be in the chairs early. So when we get there, 30, 40 people show up, 50 people for a meeting. Oh, you don't have no seats, you can't come in. Well, all this is a violation of Open Meetings Act, because you got to have an overflow area.
Listen,
you got to have a
stop knowing
TV.
so much. You better stop
Stay in
knowing
your
so
place.
much.
Stay in your place.
Hey, when somebody's mad, they fucking start researching.
They
and
do.
it's all right there in front of your face.
Listen, T-Rock, when you talked about being up all night, man, I be up all night reading stuff, looking at emails, sending stuff. You know, sometimes people be like, girl, could you go to sleep? And it's like, no, because I'm just too, it's too much adrenaline.
You're in the middle of war right now.
Well, that's
yeah.
that's what it feels like. And so I've had these people, oh, we're gonna destroy her. Oh, she is horrible. Oh, she's running an illegal homeless shelter. Illegal homeless
You're
shelter.
cool as fuck, honestly, to be honest. Like, you're a really good
But it's
person.
like, if you Google, there is no credentials you got to have for a homeless shelter, except what the state tells you to do if you're getting money from the state.
That's it.
And we do every single thing the state tells us to do, and that's it. But if, there is scripture that talks about Esther, and she was put in a place. And with
Yes.
Esther, it got to a point where she had to do something that she felt uncomfortable about. But she said, look, if I perish, I perish. Who knows, but I've been put here for such a time as this. And this is it. None of this was ever about me. I wasn't trying to be important, wasn't trying to have a great name, nothing. I was put here because God called me here. And these people are in need. So if y'all feel the need to try to destroy me, whatever, the fact of the matter is I'm still going to bring awareness to the problem.
There it is.
I'm still going to
That's
get
it.
these people help
Yeah.
one way or another. And so,
Get with it or don't. At that point.
I say this about Pastor Boone. They have put hurdles in front of her every step of the way. And damn it, she's a track star.
With a smile
Watch out.
on her face.
Watch
She come
out.
out
Right.
when we were giving out food. It was chaos. There's people everywhere, and you were just so like you were happy. Like, let's get going. Like, I figured you would be a little bit rushed. Like, even Kim, I call
Oh, you
her
ain't seen her
Mother-
choke nobody out yet.
No.
She'll
I
choke you
call
out. She'll
Kim
put you in the
Mother
choke
Mary
hold.
of Monroe.
Yeah.
And I seen her frustrated. You come
Well,
out and you're
Kim's a
bubbly.
fireball.
and
Right,
you
Kim
brought-
is.
That's my
And,
girl.
and,
She a
and
fireball.
listen, and I will say this, because one thing about Kim is passionate, she cares, and she's worked in the community, and so she knows.
Yes.
And so I think that's what makes her frustrated, is that she knows, and she knows how other agencies work. She's been around the country talking to people about this stuff, and she's frustrated. And so, like her and Jeff, over at the Shake Shop, like the one time I'm in there with you, young man next to us, homeless young man. We all been begging to get him help. Begging.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. Kyle and Adina, when it was Joe Gentile.
Yeah.
Because Joe would never come in. And there's some people who just don't want to come in the shelter, and I get that. And so we'll do what we can to help. But it's just frustrating because it's like, Who advocates? Who cares for these people? How do you just drive past these people? How do you just look past these people? I mean, I get it. When I'm in the car, and I try my best not to make eye contact too, but at some point, somebody somewhere has to care. And Monroe is a small enough community that I feel like if we all step up, we can make a difference.
A lot of people don't care until it affects them. So it's, you know what I mean? It's like we talked about the drug crisis.
Till it's on their doorstep.
It's right. It's I've heard people, well, they just need to go get help and blah blah blah.
Until their son gets up in some
Absolutely.
drugs, and then they're like,
their
"Oh
son-
shit!"
right.
But it's right here,
Their
right
son,
now, in your face.
Yeah.
ODs. Oh well, he had never done that before. Someone gave it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
What?
You pushed him to it.
Right. So
Facts.
it's that's one of the things, and I definitely don't think it's just Monroe, but it's definitely
Oh, no.
It's everywhere.
No,
It's
Monroe
that
is
mentality.
a small
concentrated.
microcosm.
It's just concentrated.
Yeah, exactly. That's
It's
it, concentrated.
concentrated.
So it's the whole bottle of orange juice in one little thing. Monroe is a microcosm of the world. Of the United States.
whole
Everything
thing, yeah.
that we're going through in the country, we're going through here just on a smaller scale.
And it seems like it's bigger because it's
Absolutely.
on our doorstep.
Absolutely. And everybody knows everybody in Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
So when there's a death, it touches somebody you know.
Yeah.
And to see people constantly in a state of grief is very rough. To see people constantly without the food to eat, people being evicted all the time, it hurts. And there's not the resources out there. The agencies where the money is, that you always say call those agencies, and then they say call other churches. And I get frustrated when other churches is they just say call Oaks for like money. I'm like, listen, now we are not the money church, okay?
Right.
Now we can do food. You send them over here for food. You send them over here for shelter. But come on, y'all, we need other churches to step up and do some of this stuff with the money and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure you do know, like, your Oaks is part of, I'll say at least in the nursing business, is part of the discharge plan. I was working in Livonia, and the social worker said, well, I found this place. It's in Monroe, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, what's the name? Oak Tree something, blah, blah. I said, oh, Oaks of Righteousness? Yeah, that's it. And I said, so you're going to discharge this man that's from, I don't even remember where he
Livonia.
was from. He wasn't from Livonia. He was from further north than even Livonia, further than that. But I said, so you're gonna discharge this man to a homeless shelter in Monroe? Like, there's no other.
Where the hell
homeless
is he gonna
shelters.
go? Who does he know?
But
Well-
my thing is this: is there no other homeless shelters from Livonia to Monroe? That's 45, 50 miles.
Well, the other thing is, they've said, I created the Taj Mahal of shelters, so we're drawing people in. And it's like, dude, you go in there, it's a big dorm room with
The Taj
30
Mahal.
beds for the men and 30 beds for the women. We just have showers and decent bathrooms, you know what I mean? And we try to serve decent meals and treat people with dignity. But if that makes it to Taj Mahal, okay. So when the accusations that we're bringing people in came in, I took us immediately off of 211 so that people couldn't find us. We don't do like any kind of advertising. I tell my staff, you try your best to divert people if you can to not come here, especially if they have no ties to Monroe. Right. Try to divert that, try. But we're funded by the state of Michigan. So it's the whole state. So that's what's frustrating to me, because like when all the money come in for ARPA and all the government money, it's for the whole state. But then, well, we don't want those people. But what I was so shocked about when we did close for like a week or whatever it was, we closed for a week, 2 weeks, they were going to send people to Toledo, to their shelters. And if you look at the pamphlet for Monroe Homeless Network, it has 3 of the shelters in Toledo. So you're accusing me of bringing people to Monroe.
Well, you can send them out, but
But you're
you can't bring them in.
That's it. That's it. And that's what's frustrating.
Well,
But-
if you send them out, it's not our problem no more.
Exactly.
It's
That's the
Toledo's
point.
problem.
Exactly. But yes, you're absolutely right. The hospital discharges a lot of people. And we get very, very frustrated about that. We do. And, that was one of the emails I have that's from 8 years ago. It's because we're talking to the hospital and CMH. Like, you cannot just discharge people who've been in psychiatric care and not tell us. You cannot. You have to do something. They have to sign a waiver, something, so we know what's going on. Because they sent us a lady, never told us anything, that she had just got the hospital psych ward for being suicidal. She goes in our bathroom and slit her wrist. Like I said, minimum wage people, and this is the stuff we're dealing with. And
trauma for minimum wage.
But now that I'm learning more, I found out that when people are discharged from the psychiatric ward, that in the first 90 days is when they will usually try again or be successful. So why wouldn't we as a community, as a team, wrap around these people? Why wouldn't we try to work together to come up with some solutions?
Yeah, here's a person, and she's going through some of this. So maybe you know.
Can you guys help? Can we do this? Can we work together?
Because
if
sometimes
they had a conversation,
just ashing it out means a lot to
absolutely.
people. Just somebody coming in there and like even boosting the mood or just asking questions about
but this is what they'll do. They'll drop somebody off and keep going.
Yeah.
CMH.
They have
no. Because listen, that was when I knew we had to take off 211. Sinai Grace, Ubered. No, not Sinai Grace. No. Providence in Southfield. Ubered a woman to us who had just had a baby 3 days earlier. Because she didn't have nowhere to go.
I told you are on discharge plans.
Didn't call or nothing. And I'm like, oh, hecky no. You know what I mean? So we had to go back and forth, and we got her in a good place.
Uber her here?
Yes.
From Southfield. I know exactly.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
From Southfield.
Listen, Monroe, when
Hour
that
away.
Monroe cab worked, the hospital was always sending us people. And we've had people sent to us before who are in hospice. Dying with cancer, with morphine.
Because
They ain't got no place to go.
No, because
So they send them to you?
No, the discharge plan is they don't have any family or a place to stay, but they have to discharge to a safe place. That's it.
And she has a safe
That's
place.
it. She
Yeah,
has
and
a
I'm
safe
telling
place.
you, the nursing homes, same thing. They will discharge us. And we're like, this person can't walk up the stairs. This person's on oxygen. We can't have oxygen, here in our building.
What the
Well, you got a clinic, so you should be able to handle that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this, shout out to the residency center on Stewart Road, because the residents all volunteer at our clinic. So we have once a week, they're there. We have a nurse every day of the week. And then we have a mobile recovery where it's Vivitrol, which is the once a month opioid blocker. It's also an alcohol blocker for people who struggle with alcohol. So she does the Vivitrol, and then she does like oral naloxone and all this other stuff. And she's there on Monday, but she also does like she can do like tests for STDs. She does a hepatitis clinic, just a lot of different stuff in the community. And
it looks like a little hospital room. Like
Yeah.
the area is, I mean.
he went on a tour. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Of course you did.
But this is it. But we're still not equipped.
Right.
As a nursing home, we're still not equipped for somebody who's on hospice.
send them-
Our doctors do their best, but our doctors get very frustrated. I mean, our doctors get very frustrated. Our doctors a lot of time have to fill people's psychiatric meds for CMH because they've had gaps in appointments, and that's a huge part of what they have to do.
Yeah. So I know, and speaking of CMH, because you've mentioned them a lot.
With a
and
$48 million budget.
I was going to say, like,
$48 million
talk
budget.
about
Yep.
that a
And they
lot.
have a guy who's helping them with their finances. They pay him $567 an hour, 20 hours a week, plus expenses to help their CFO, who they hired. And I think they're contracted for 2 years.
And they haven't gave you a fucking penny?
Well, I don't want money. And that's
she
what
wants
people
help.
keep saying. I just
She
want
wants
help. Just send one of your social workers down to that side of town.
You have that much money. You can even build with that much money. you can
They don't
build
have
a
to
little
build
shop.
nothing. Just send somebody. We have a room for them. We have an office for them. Just send us somebody.
Yeah, and it looks medical.
No,
And it looks,
well-
Oh, like another one?
Yeah, we got another office for them, but they wouldn't do it. They
Help
wouldn't do it.
me.
That's what I'm saying. They wouldn't do it. So then we went and we found another agency in Detroit, because what would happen is Medicaid doesn't cross county lines for mental health. So if you have a mental health issue, you can't go to ProMedica in Toledo. Now, if you have a medical issue, you can go right there. If you have a medical issue, you can go to Wayne County. But mental, it does not. So you have to get authorization from your county. So when we had people who come to our shelter the ones that luck up from Wayne County or wherever and get in, we can call a provider down there. They'll pick that person up 40, 50 minutes from Southfield, from Detroit. If we say this person's in crisis, because it's not to call the police. People don't need to go to jail because they have a mental illness. That's not the answer. But according to CMH, that's the answer. But we call these people from Detroit. They will pick these people up 40 to 50 minutes. They'll have a van picking them up. They will take them back to their crisis center, help them get stable, and then bring them back. It might be days, it might be weeks. Bring them back fully medicated and in a whole different place and space. So we're like, dang, if y'all can do that, can y'all come down here? We take them to CMH. Oh no, that'll come out of our budget. Because they would have to authorize them. Now this is a place that we brought down here. They do mental health in like Macomb County, Wayne County, Oakland County. So we're like, well, maybe you can talk with them and budget. And it's all fee for services. So this agency will come and set up something, but the only way they get paid is the people they serve. So they can only bill Medicaid, because all this is Medicaid money.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, well, that's going to come out of our budget. Yes, but it's going to be out your budget for Monroe people who are needing help. Why would you want to send somebody who's in a mental health crisis to the hospital so they got to sit next to, a mom having a baby and a kid that's sick? That's not the place for that person.
Right.
But yeah, they've been fighting us about that.
I've heard you use terms like duplicative services.
Yeah,
I'm aware of that, and that's really what it is. That's what they're saying. That's the excuse, because to me that's an excuse, because
that is the excuse.
There's multiple
they already
places
do that
in multiple areas.
They already do that.
Have duplicate.
Don't touch some money.
Right. And so listen. So because we kept talking about crisis stabilization. The day we had the board meeting, the same board meeting where we didn't have enough people, they jumped up and they bought a Chrysler Pacifica minivan online. And that's their crisis response vehicle. And so they put out a plan that 8 hours a day they were going to go to crises around all of Monroe County.
Have they come to
That's
see you?
different. No, well, they haven't got it up and running. They bought it in February. They're thinking they're going to launch it by July. You know what I mean? They're going to have it launched by like July.
They buy it in February. It takes a whole filibuster.
They got the money a year ago. They got the money a year
6-7
ago.
months to get to you.
Right. They got the money a year ago. And we were just saying these people were going to set up like a little mobile place to do this. This agency was going to bring in all their people, staff it, everything. But now we have a Chrysler Pacifica. We have a minivan that in July is going to help us.
You know what happened? That piece of paper they're working on.
Yes.
They're working on a piece of paper still.
Yep.
They're reading the paper over and over again.
Yep.
Adding here, adding there.
Yep.
Yes. Gotcha.
I was so happy to talk to you today, but I'm pissed off right now.
See, now you see
Yeah,
how
I'm
I
frustrated
feel.
too now. Like, I'm about to go
It's-
bitch at my wife about this.
Don't.
No, I'm not.
But it is.
Bitch about it.
Yeah. But no, it is. It's frustrating, and but I'm the villain for bringing this up. I'm attacking these poor, helpless.
No, you're a savior for bringing it up
attacking
because
these
it
poor,
needs
helpless
to help. It needs.
women who run these agencies. I'm just attacking them, and I'm just like, no, I'm not attacking them.
You're just
I'm
assertive
just
and
An angry
saying,
black woman.
yes, I'm the angry black
No,
woman.
you're their Huckleberry.
That's
Not at all. Not at all.
I'm your Huckleberry.
So
Yeah.
Yes. I love it.
that's amazing what you do.
well, thank you.
And
I didn't
it's
plan on being an
frustrating.
advocate. You know what I mean? I wasn't planning on, I was just being a pastor.
You came in
And-
trying to knock on doors, and now you got to kick them in.
Right.
And sometimes you got to get to that point.
Exactly.
And I'll be
that's-
honest with you,
And
Pastor.
listen, let me say this real quick, Mike. With the whole thing with CMH and me getting arrested, I didn't think about it because there was a person who said, you need to have table etiquette. You need to learn how to act when you're invited to a table. Y'all know who it is.
I would
And
have said,
And I said, wait a minute, wait. So I said, you know what? I wasn't invited to this table. I was not invited. I will kick a table over because that's what Jesus did. Jesus went in the temple
Right.
to money changers because all y'all sitting around worried about money and not people. Jesus kicked the table over, and that's what I really felt like doing. And it was just like the week I got arrested was like going into Holy Week, and I'm like, okay, Lord, I see what you're doing. And so, if this, like I said, if this has to be my Martin Luther King moment, my advocate moment, so be it. And if, it's my crucified moment, if they attack me and, you know what I mean, string me up. That's what happened with Jesus. But at least if I save some people, that's all.
You're all right. I'll tell you, like, I follow you all the time. Yes. I watch your lives, that kind of stuff. And I fell out of it. I wasn't even on really Facebook a whole lot. I wasn't swiping up. I wasn't watching a lot of stuff. And normally it's on silent, right? But for some reason, I'm just scrolling through, and I hear your voice. I just hear your
I don't know what that little country twang I have is. I'm all from
listen.
I'm from Detroit.
I heard you, but I heard it is. You do got a little.
I know.
South side.
West side.
Right. True, West side.
I am West
yes.
side. So.
Yeah, but I'm like, I heard the tone.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
All right.
like this ain't her normal tone.
She's speaking to me. Okay.
And I'm like, and I'm listening. I think you went live for maybe an hour and a half.
Yes,
hour
you
for,
did.
and
I was
I was
at work
so
watching.
and I was
angry.
like,
Yes, you
yeah.
were.
And I
Yeah.
was just like, that is what made me go, wait a minute, what the hell is going on?
Because
Because I
listen,
kind of stopped paying attention. I'm not gonna lie to
well,
you.
and I'm gonna tell you this: if you ever try to have an organization and get funding, it's the same groups of people who do all of the. You got to go and meet in front of the exact same group of people who are getting the money, are the same people who make the decisions, and it's the same little team of people.
And they want that money.
Well, and not only that, they boxed. They
They keep it in that circle.
I had one person, like I said, they keep it in that circle. She said, well, I don't really understand what you're doing, why you people need all this. And
Whoa. Shit, you people.
she said, you people?
And she wasn't talking about the comedic movie either.
Nope.
And this is what I'm saying, but what Monroe is, and I'm not trying to say that people are racist, but it's like there's a classism and then there's a systemic racism in Monroe. So it's the have
There is.
against the
There
have
is.
not, and then it's the built-in things that just keep certain people down. I'm not saying people are racist. I'm not saying it. Nobody is just outright racist. I mean, there are some people, but that's not what I'm just saying about these people. What I'm saying is there are people who don't understand that there are systems in place that just keep people where they are. And that's what I feel like I'm fighting, is those systems.
Yeah, and I'll tell you too, like, just speaking of the systemic, I'm gonna call it racism. I'm gonna call it what it
I
is.
ain't gonna sugarcoat it.
Like,
I agree. I totally agree.
and
See, but people stop listening the moment you say racism because they think like racism were the slavery people, the Ku Klux Klan, so they don't.
we'll say classism.
Right. Well, the classism, because it's the haves against the have-not.
So-
Because I tell you this, people look past the poor white people. They are stepped over as much as
Right,
anybody
right.
else.
Like, I'm looking for property. I had a young man in a business come to me and say, hey, we know you're on a lot of boards and things like that in Monroe. How can we acquire some property? We went through a bunch of things. I'm like, I can work some things out. I want to be a part of this plan.
Right.
So how can I be a part? And they was like, oh, you can do this, well, you're good at this. I said, cool. I want to be an investor. I'll be something. I want to be a part of this. So we start going through the process, get what I need. And it's, oh my God, yes, that's a great idea. And we need this. And so I get the list. I have the list. And I see houses on 7th Street. I see houses on, Smith on the west side. I see things on the north side. And I keep getting directed. Well, it's this piece of property over here. I think it's on 3rd Street. Blah, blah. Oh, I think it's here. And I was just like, am I being redlined right now? Like, I had to really think about that. Like, me, Michael Madison Jr., am I being 51 years old, 2023? Am I really being redlined right now? I had to really think about it. I'm like, I am.
And I think that's the most shocking thing, that we're in 2023, and that's where I'm like, I can't believe this. Like, I would have never believed this. I would have never thought this. Like, and it's so, my daughter lives in Boston now, and I miss my baby every day, but it's so progressive and it's so, mixed. And so, I mean, Detroit, I lived in Dearborn, you just have so much, but just the way the whole city is set up, the progressiveness, the thought of getting people out of systemic issues of DEI. So I did a thing for the college, and I took the letters DEI and I just said it doesn't exist in Monroe, because there's no celebration of equity and diversity. There's no celebration. There were people who, if I was anywhere else, I would be celebrated. You know what I mean? It's exciting, a black woman trying to come in and do this. Here, no.
You hated us.
Exactly.
So you are being celebrated by us.
Yeah, well,
Absolute
well,
fact.
thank you very much.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
but the rest of the
people.
country is all on diversity, equity, and inclusion, but just not here. And that just, in 2023, those are the things that just really bothers me, is that people are still living like that. When I see somebody who can't read, a grown person come in our shelter and cannot read and write, that breaks my heart. And that's what I'm seeing. And in 2023, it's like, how in the world is this possible? How in the world are people in America not receiving health care, can't receive mental health care, can't, so that's,
I'll say one thing. Trump was president. Believe it.
well, this is
Believe
before and after, so.
I'm saying believe
Right,
it.
right.
He called to arms on national TV. Proud Boys stand by. And guess what they doing? Showing their ass right now.
We gonna give you that one.
They are.
Yeah, we're gonna give you that one. So, Pastor Boone, before we get out of here, tell the people watching, listening, what have you, one step we can take. That's one question I have. I do have a 2-part question.
Let's fucking riot. No, I'm just
Let's go.
I'm just kidding.
See, now you're going to have all the police. You
Yeah.
know? And listen, and they're watching me to decide if they're going to press charges. So, you know.
Oh no, that was a joke, everybody.
We got to get what's your prosecutor's name on the last podcast?
Yorkie.
No.
Jack B. Nimble.
Yeah, Jack Nimble.
Jack Nimble.
Yep. Jack be nimble. Jack is thick. Jack will put your ass in jail real quick.
There you go. But what's one thing that we can do just as a community that will start a process to help? And I mean, like, as far as money, mental health, whatever that may be.
Well, I mean, I definitely will say money will help, only because since I started this topic, I'm now like blacklisted in Monroe. So our donations have gone down and all that stuff. So definitely donations will help. But the biggest thing is the mental illness and the substance abuse. We need to talk about it. We need to let that stigma go, because it's keeping people in bondage, and everybody can kind of brush the problem under the rug.
Yeah.
Or push it to that side of town. And it's bigger than that, because I have people calling me every single day from all over Monroe County. I get families in Luna Pier, families, you know what I mean, in Carrington, families everywhere who are calling me and saying, Carlton, I'm struggling with this. My child is struggling with this with mental health. Can you help us? We call it CMH. We can't get help. Okay. We're on a wait list. Like the grievances I've had, families are bringing me their grievances that they're filed. We filed stuff, Joint Commission. We filed all these recipient rights grievances, and people are bringing them to me, and I'm sending them to the advocacy group we're working with in Lansing. So if people can start talking about it, because it may turn into a class action lawsuit for people who could not get help for their family. Okay. There are people who begged for help, couldn't get help, and ended up suicidal or committing suicide or ended up overdosing. That is directly linked to an organization that didn't help.
Right. When you get kicked around when you're trying to exit rock bottom, it's a lot harder when you're like, dude, I can just go right back to rock bottom. It was easy doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you want help and you call and you get an answering machine and nobody calls you back, or
And you don't get
or your
nothing
phone
for
is
months.
Wi-Fi
Yep.
and they can't call you back, then you don't get the help and you go out and use, and it's got fentanyl in it. And now,
Boom.
so making some of these people liable for this, because there should be a number you call and somebody answers when you want help. So, just
Yeah, I'm my wheels are spinning, and I know yours are too. I know
Mine have been spinning, and you know they have.
we got some things going on.
We got something playing
and
amongst us that's going to actually help you.
all right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
so
That's
I
awesome.
got chills thinking about it.
They're multiplying,
you know,
and I'm losing control. Sorry.
I love you. I love you, brother. I
I
love you.
love you too, for real.
Yeah.
Hey, and then I have to ask you because I'm a DJ and it's what I do. What you listening to right now?
You know what? Listen, I'm listening to a lot of gospel music.
I knew you would
because-
say that.
Honestly.
Elaborate.
So, there is one song I listen to by Donald Lawrence all the time. Let me tell you my songs. What's on my frequent playlist real quick. Every morning, I try to listen to this one song by Donald Lawrence. Like I said, it talks about how they've increased who surrounded me. It's actually, he's just singing one of the Psalms. And so let me see if I can find it real quick on my phone. All of a sudden can't find my Apple Music.
I say don't play it when you mess around and get us banned.
No, I'm not. I'm just going to tell you some of the words of the song if you don't mind.
For sure.
So give me 1 second.
Can I tell the people that you had quoted a lyric from Ludacris earlier?
Oh yeah. Oh, well, listen.
When I move, you move.
Just like that.
Listen,
Good.
it was, but listen, let me tell you something. I have to be careful and not listen to the rap I normally listen to, because it's so funny. Because me and my husband, we are like Eric B. and Rakim. You know what I mean? We are like Beastie Boys. We are, all of the old rap.
Brittany
Like I
strikes
can
me
do.
as straight jazz all the time.
We love
That's how
jazz.
he looked.
Yes,
he
it
just,
is.
he just
No,
looked.
that's
like
the
he-
hat. That's the hat.
That's
no,
definitely- yes.
No, he is all the way hip hop. All the way hip
Love
hop.
it.
We are so hip hop, but hip hop can make you a little angry.
And you don't need that right now. You don't need that. Right now.
No.
Yeah, right
no.
now, because I'm mad now.
Yeah,
Like,
so that's what I'm saying. So I can't. So it's just been.
I'm going to go home. I'm going to drive home silently.
Not me.
Calm. And there's another song about Fight This Battle for Me. That's another song I listen to daily, because it's like, Lord, I just need you to do it, because it says, let your power fall when your name is called.
Yeah.
And prove the doubters wrong.
We
You
might
know.
have. Lloyd, we got to work this out. We might have. everybody's doing the remixes right now.
Facts,
And the
yes.
AI remixes.
Oh.
We need to take that, drop it
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
Yes.
Eric B. and Rakim beat.
Yeah, well, listen, because the song says
hey,
you're
we'll
still
have
mighty
Eric
and
B.
strong. Fight these enemies. And that was my, who was it who put it out? Because I put yesterday, your arm's too short to box with God. I can't remember.
You
Somebody,
did, but yes, I was like,
because,
I like that.
yeah, it was a play, but I put that on there because I said, it's like, listen, I promise y'all, this is not me. And my own strength in me. The only time I've been to Monroe, I've been to Spiegel's and Nike Outlet. You know what I mean? When I was younger growing up.
Right.
God put me here. I literally am on assignment. And I have told my church, I said, and everybody knows this in my church. So for the last 2 years, I've been saying this, we've been going through this stuff. If I'm the problem, I'm gonna leave. I don't want, because I know that there's people who don't like me. I know that there's people who won't work with us just because of me. And there are some things we really are trying to do. Some housing developments, the tiny houses and stuff. And they don't like me, so they don't want to move forward. That was one of the reasons we bought Randy Richardville, a Republican in. But you know what? He has a heart. And he has learned, because he was in Lansing, a politician, he learned there's no trickle down. Plus, he's come over to the east side and he's had to see it with his own eyes. So it's
He was at
changed
lunch
him.
with us.
Yeah. So it's changed him so much. And he's fighting, and he was on the board of mental health, and he had to step down because he's like, this, I see this every day when I come to Oaks. This is not truthful. But we have all these plans we want to do for the east side. And there are those in power who don't like me, so they don't want it to happen. I don't want to not have this stuff happen because of me.
Right there.
No. I'm being.
I got something to say about that. What you're
so
saying.
I don't want it to not happen because of me. So I created a succession plan, and I said, listen, I will get out the way because I know it's me. We're gonna start putting some things together. I'm gonna, find another person who can come in and pastor eventually. And this is good because even if I drop dead, we need a succession plan so Oaks can keep going.
I get that part.
So putting all this in place, and with this mental health fight, that's why I said if I perish, I perish. So if they have to beat me down over this, it's okay. Because as long as this fight get won, the rest of it, Oaks, we got a plan in place. Oaks to keep going.
That's why
so
we
it's
love
all
you.
good.
That's why we love you.
They want a puppet
Right
in
there.
place. They don't want nobody that's going to talk back and have their own brain. You better not step down.
Well, the person who, you know,
if you step down, it's going to be another version of you that they don't like. It's not you. It's what you represent they don't like.
Boom. That's
So no matter who comes in your place behind you,
it's what
they
you're
are
trying
you.
to do.
So they're going to be happy to have somebody in there they can control.
Well, that's
Think
the
about
hardest part with the show me your books and who's on your board.
Yes.
And so that's why it's almost like a little game I play. Like, no, you know, church people, it's board. Oh, where are your board? We have board meetings. It's a church thing. We don't have to invite you. My church can fire me anytime it's a membership.
That's true.
They can get rid. But it's like, why do we have to explain ourselves? You can't go to no other church in Monroe, an outsider, and make them explain to you what they do and how they spend and what they're bringing in. But everybody, oh, she not being true. Okay. Okay, you say so.
I got a feeling Pastor Boone will be back.
But you know
Please
what's
invite me back.
She better.
No, this is really parallel. I hate to say this. What you keep saying the high table, high table, high table, high table. Who fights the high table?
The people.
No. John Wick.
Man, if you don't
And who
get
bu-
your
and
John
who-
Wick
What a
ass-
nerd, dude.
No,
Look, I'm trying to get all
Is
philosophical.
it John Wick 1, 2, or 3? Which John Wick?
Four.
Okay, 4.
And the fourth one,
Four, he fights-
in the fourth, he
See,
brings the
you-
table down.
That's not out yet, so you done bootleg that
No,
already?
it's out.
It's out.
It's out. Where you been? Oh, I'm sorry. You work nights now.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But no, I'm saying that the parallels are so similar to in this movie because they're trying to hold him down and not giving him the support he needs.
Yeah.
They cut him off.
Yeah.
But guess what? He fights back.
Yes.
I'm gonna give Lloyd the golfer's clap for that one because it's normally a Marvel thing. So for you to,
No, not Marvel. It's DC. Stop it.
I like Marvel.
Man, you suck too. It's okay.
You like DC? Why are you so sad? Because that's sad. DC is sad.
How's it sad?
They're sadder.
How?
They're
You know
more
why?
gloomy.
Because they're copycats.
Yeah,
They're more gloomy.
Wonder Woman
Marvel
was
has-
a little gloomy. It was a little gloomy though.
Dude, they're
It was a
all
little
gloomy.
sad.
Batman's gloomy as hell.
You know
dude.
what?
As soon as you meet Batman, his parents are dead. Like they die.
I'll say, don't talk about
Okay,
black man.
but you got to think about something. Marvel. It's not that different. Come on with Spider-Man.
Oh,
And I mean,
yeah,
that
and
last
shit.
one when
Yeah, but they
Auntie-
have
when the auntie had to die,
Comedy.
it's like Lord.
Marvel and DC are the same characters. The
Right.
only thing that's different is Marvel has a bigger budget.
And Marvel's better.
I'm gonna agree with you.
I guess you don't watch anime.
And before
Tony
we
Sparks
get into
died,
all
though.
that,
That's pretty sad. Tony Sparks had
Tony
to die.
Sparks did die. I mean,
Yeah.
but that's not that.
I mean, my God.
Iron Man. Think
Listen.
about that.
that's Batman.
The Black Panther had to die.
He
Same.
died in real life though. He didn't have
I
to
know.
die.
Well, but I thought in the series
He didn't have to
that
die.
he was replaced in the series. though.
He was.
He was.
He actually was. Yeah, his son.
So I
Chala,
think,
the little-
I think divine. Some things happen divine.
That's
you may
what
not.
a whole
you know,
thing I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at
that's
right
it.
there.
Yep. And that's it. Scripture says the steps of a good man or woman are ordered. So I was ordered down here, and just gonna do what the Lord told me to do until He tell me to do
Don't
different.
stop though. Don't give up. Don't, because you're doing
And
good.
the strength of the weakness shall be renewed on the wings of eagles.
Yep. Mount up and soar. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, don't
I love it.
See, he done been to church, you know.
I know.
don't
I
let
know
the
the word.
discouragement get you down, because all this stuff that I've heard, all that discouragement, I would have been like, fuck this. and like, you're a very strong person
thank
in
you.
general, just for dealing with this stuff, and like, I respect you, and that's awesome what you're doing, and I don't know why these assholes think that you're doing bad. It makes me mad, honestly.
Yeah.
Well,
It's not
thank
who-
you for saying that. I appreciate that.
Well, it's what she represents. She represents change.
Yeah.
And people down here do not like change.
All she did was come and observe, and then say,
I get
"Hey,
that.
this shit's a little fucked up," and then they were like, "Nah."
I
You're
don't think Pastor Boone said that, but it's probably you're paraphrasing.
This is what I would say. This shit's kind of weird, bro. Like, what's going
What
on?
you doing over there? What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it just her voice is of change. And people in Monroe don't like change.
No.
They're patterned people.
That's true.
They're very patterned. So even with the marijuana, they're patterned. They don't realize what kind of jobs it's bringing, what kind of money it's bringing. Nobody overdoses on weed. You might get your refrigerator raided. You might people sleep on the couch.
Right.
That's about it.
And that's just it. To each his own.
Yes.
But the main thing is nobody is dying from this. And so, for some people, because listen, so my husband right now, his mom is on hospice and she is passing from cancer. And literally, before now she's like on morphine every hour. But before that, like they had to get marijuana from her.
Yes.
So me and my husband, we went to the dispensary. I'm like, I'm not going in. You know what I mean? He had to go in, and so we're like cracking up because there's people everywhere. And
Don't see me.
But can I tell you something? It made the difference.
It does.
Medically, I know people who truly need it and
Yes.
use it, and so God created a lot of different things. A lot of different tools for us to use. So it's not for me to be mad or to judge. It's about safety. And because of the dispensaries, it's a lot of safety. Because like I said, they're lacing everything
Yes.
with stuff.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually I got the PTSD and all for my pain. That's what I smoke for that. And I advocate for it. I used to work at Crave and sell it. All the old ladies would come to me because if they needed sleep, I knew what they needed for sleep. It's not, some people just want to come in and get high, but some people want to come in and they're like, hey man, I can't sleep at night. Well, here,
Indica.
there's, that too, but there's a CBN for these like older ladies that would just want to get to sleep. CBN, I don't know what it's like, whatever, but I call it CB night. That's the stuff to make you go to sleep. And it's natural, and it's derived from a fucking plant that grew right out of the ground. It's just, I don't know how they get it out, but whatever, But I've had them come back, and they still ask for, I don't work there, I haven't worked there in a while, and they still come in and ask for me. And I just tell some of the people, I'm like, hey, dude, don't try to sell them pot. Try to sell them something to help them. Don't just go, oh yeah, well they want us to sell this, so here I'm going to give you 1/8 of this.
We don't want Granny
Gertrude
Blue out.
don't want 1/8, dude. Gertrude wants some CBN, dude. Chill out.
So you worked at the dispensary, so one of our friends at the shelter who struggles with mental illness. No.
Oh shit, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't say his name, but that's fine. We love him though.
Beep.
But I'm talking about another guy. People see on the bike and
I love him.
camouflage all around.
That's one of the guys I've known for years. I love him, and actually I call him, because he's not, like, I call him, his nickname is Trouble, but he's not Trouble. It's just, we called him Trouble because we heard him outside yelling.
Yeah. Well, listen, I
but
wake
when
up
he
every
comes
morning.
inside, he has manners of a regular, like, a dude shopping.
Yeah.
Like, he's even more polite than most of the people that come in there. He goes outside and whatever the hell he's yelling at, I don't care.
No, he comes to my house every day and yells. Like I said, between him and TJ, that parking lot, I don't know what it is, but they just come and they just yell, and that's what I wake up to. And with that particular guy, when we closed, he was at the he was at the hotel, and because he was out there screaming and stuff, they called the police and CMH, and they petitioned and put him in the hospital. But they were trying to take him and drop him off at Cherry Street. Lifelong Monroe resident.
Get out of my town.
Lifelong. I mean,
Lifelong.
when I started at Kroger when I was 17,
But they were going
So
to
a couple
drop
years
him
ago.
he
off.
was not. Yeah, you're right.
Last year.
12 years, but anyway.
And
I'm
so,
old.
yeah, people don't know.
But no, and that's what I'm saying. None of them, I have no bad with the people you were talking about, or none of them. Like, I have conversations with them. Like, I got nicknames for him. He's my dude. Like, I can't wait to help him.
But this is one of the sad things is, though, nothing's happening, but there are some things. That's like, the young lady who was found at Boysville. Yes. She had lived at our shelter. Wow. And if you look at the picture, a lot of those people are people who were CMH clients, people with mental illness, people with addiction and stuff going on. That whole crew. could have gotten some help. You know what I mean? And she was somebody who needed help, and we would try to help her, and we wanted her to go back to her family. Because that's our biggest thing. If we can try to reunite people with their family, get them home, because people think they want the streets, and they don't want the street. They don't want the life. They don't.
That's the only thing they have. Like,
so yeah.
It's hard to deal with somebody that's not on medication.
Yeah, very hard.
It is because sometimes it just don't work out.
I have family members. I'm just like,
just
please take a pill. Please, I
Well,
beg
see,
you.
and this is it.
Yes.
So imagine we have 75 beds in our shelter. Imagine when you have like people tweaking, somebody done did mushroom. I mean, we see like stuff that's unbelievable at our shelter, and then you got moms with babies, and the moms will have mental illness. Like you know, we had a mom with a 3-month-old baby threatening to throw her baby out the window. So when we had all of these triggering things in like a 24, 48 hour period, I was like, we can't do this anymore. Like Max, who's been working for me 10 years, one of my monitors, big guy, he said people threatened to slit his throat, you know, just all kind of stuff. And it's like, Lord, you know, can we just get some help? And I didn't know that was going to cause the backlash that it did, me trying to say I'm demanding help, because those other agencies that I talked about got together and like, oh, we don't need them, just close down. They put out a whole press release saying that.
I seen that.
Press release saying that they could handle it. We closed down.
They can't handle it with you.
Exactly. Right. But the day we closed down, we got guardians and agencies in the hospital calling us, and we're like, we're closed. Call those people because they got it. They didn't have it. Right. They didn't have it. So, and it was sad because the people they put all these people in hotels, found hotel money for all these people. Man, them hotels was calling us like, what are y'all doing? Because the people out there, they didn't turn in, they out there meth, crack, drinking. People who have been clean at our shelter. Mm-hmm. Now.
You just gave them a party spot.
That's all you did. Give somebody a party.
You put the
free.
You put the
For
party
free.
right. You put the partiers in a party spot and gave them some money, unsupervised. What the hell you think they're gonna do? Yeah.
Party.
Right. Well,
I got money. You
guys
got money.
know.
You want to party in my apartment?
Let's go.
Let's go, dog.
I'll pray for y'all.
Yeah. Like, come on, dude.
They acting up. I'm behaving.
I'm always gonna.
I said you was quoting scripture.
It's just because you're here, dude, and he's wearing pink. It doesn't mean
Real men wear pink.
I'm gonna say I got on that light blue. Pastor got on them little blue,
Yep.
something we matching. So
Well, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, so I'm glad we're here talking about mental health. But then also breast cancer, so you got on your pink, you know, real men wear pink. So we're all advocating today.
we like your titties.
I do too.
I think both of y'all bigger than mine. To be quiet.
I'm working on it, bro. But yeah, we do have to get out of here. But as you guys know, we talk about mental health all the time.
Yes.
We're advocates. We want to do something. I'm sure we're gonna do some things in the real future.
Yeah.
But until then,
cooking.
people, we gotta go. I'm sure Pastor Boone will be back 25,000 times just in the next week.
Open invitation.
For sure.
Thank you.
Always. So with that being said, I'm DJ Big Mike.
The Angry Artist.
I'm T Daddy Fat Sack.
And I'm Pastor Boone. Thanks for having me.
Yes. We are Beyond the Tracks podcast.
Peace.
Woo!